Deva. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Khandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnana Janashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Yeah. Okay. So you've all been wondering why so much of build-up. Hastamalakeeyam or 14 verses, that's all it is. Adiki ivolo build-up. See, these verses have come out from a boy, a little boy. In some narratives, it is indicated as 7 years, 7, 8 years of age. In some narratives, it is said as 13 years of age. Under whether it's 8 or 13, under whatever circumstances, it is not an age you would expect somebody to narrate something like this. Yeah, chant something like this. Na brahmana, aham na brahmana, aham nijabodha rupaha. Nobody is you. I don't think we would have come across anybody of this age. Forget this age. We wouldn't have come out across anybody who says this, right? That I am nijabodha rupaha. Aham nijabodha rupaha means I am that nitya mukta atma. I am that universal self. I am this eternal self. So that is one thing, right? In terms of an import, why is it a big thing? It is because it is like in Kathopanishad how Nachiketa asked the right questions and then Yama gave him the answers. But there he's asking questions and giving answers. Here, this Yuvan, this little boy, this Charbhaka, Adi Shankara calls him as Charbhaka, a dear little child. A very small infant or a small child is called Charbhaka, but here he's calling him as Charbhaka because he's having so much of love and compassion when he's seeing that child. And the Korandya Pata is having so much of joy that's welling up in him. So he's saying Charbhaka to him. This is little boy. This is coming out of him. Nobody has taught him this. So what we're going to see, the 13 odd verses of what is coming out from Hastamalakeeyam, is nobody has taught him. At least his parents haven't taught him. Or at least known people around him haven't taught him. So it has come from an inner experience which has possibly come from several lifetimes of sadhana and all of that. But it is not as though somebody sat and did a Vedanta class for him and then then he got it. That didn't happen. Now, the story goes this way, right? In the text I've written a brief of the story, but just to get the context, the story is that Adi Shankara is going from place to place, is in a sojourns, going from one place to the other, talking about Advaita Vedanta, preaching that and spreading it around, right? And also trying to Bauddha Dharma that was misunderstood and misconstrued and mispracticed, that also he would correct. And also the Karma Kandins, like the Mandana Mishras, etc., the Karma Kandins, those who know the story, I'm not detailing that here, but he would also go and try to temper them down and tell them that that is not the real truth. Just the Vedic karma is not the real truth. Then you have the Kapalikas, who were Tantrikas, who would give sacrifices, who would do all of that to please deities and invoke deities. He would go and also try to educate them. So he was on this journey that he was doing all over India. And at a certain point, he comes down to the south, around Karnataka, in a place called Shribeli, a village called Shribeli. And before this, there is this episode of how the Kapalikas try to attack Adi Shankara, and then he gives up his body, and then how Padmapada comes in the form of Narasimha's avatara. He invokes Narasimha, and Padmapada comes and drives away the Kapalikas. So that after that episode kind of happens in the series, and what is called as Shankara Digvijayam. There is a work called Shankara Digvijayam, which was written by much later Shankaracharya, where it narrates about the life story of Adi Shankara. In that, the sequence, this comes after that. So there's a village called Sri Beli. He goes there and he's as usual visiting people. There was a couple in the village, and this village is supposed to be a very Vedic, many Vedic priests. There are at least 2,000 Vedic priests in that village. And they are there, and a lot of Vedic rituals and karmanushtanams and all of that is happening there in that village. There is this couple who has a little boy who is completely, from childhood, is not speaking, not communicating with anybody, and he is like a jada. He's being there like a jada. Somebody is asking him something, even his own parents ask him anything, he is not responding, he is not communicating with them. And எங்கேயோ பரபிரம்மத்தை பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கிற மாதிரி, they say this, right? You're looking at Parabrahman, means you're looking at something you don't know what. You're looking at something abstract, and the boy is just being that way. There is another character in Bhagavatam called Jadabharata. Those who know of that story, you'll be able to relate to it. Jadabharata also was in that kind of a state. And then the parents are worried. The boy is growing up, and even while growing up is not involving in anything. He is not showing joy, showing happiness, showing sadness. There are his friends or other kids around the area in the village. They're all playing, doing all that. He is not doing any of that. He's just remaining very neutral to everything. And the parents are worried about this child. Right? These days, were to happen, we'll take the child to a psychiatrist. Right? We'll take the child to a psychiatrist and say, what do I do? But those were Vedic, or these are people who were engaged in Vedic rituals, and that Adhyatma introduction was there already. Spiritual introduction was there in some way or the other. So when Adi Shankara passed that village, and he was renowned, the word had spread around that there is this great Mahatma, Sannyasi Mahatma, who's going around. So when he came to that village, the parents were very happy, and they took the little boy to him. In many ways, actually, Mahatmas or Sannyasis are psychiatrists, right? See, the whole the journey of spiritual sadhana or for a spiritual aspirant, what are you dealing with primarily? You're dealing with the idiosyncrasies of your mind, right? When you're talking about Atma, etc., but what is available to us is the mind and the intellect. You're trying to deal with that. And once you've understood your mind and your intellect to some extent, how different is it going to be for others? It's going to be the same, right? You experience joy, somebody else experiences joy. You experience distress, somebody else is experiencing distress. You're experiencing depression, somebody's got depression. You're experiencing excitement, other person also excitement. So not very different, right? There are some people, of course, whose minds are extreme. There are cases like Otto Shankar, serial killer Otto Shankar. The minds are very extreme. They're not talking about extreme minds. Even extreme minds, there are people who go in Tihar jail. People go and teach Vipassana and so many other things, right? So even extreme minds can be brought down to a certain level of rational thinking and self-introspection. So the whole process of whatever we call spirituality, spiritual sadhana, the readings, svadhyaya, the scriptures, all of that we do is essentially learning to deal with your mind. And this is not taught to us as children, as kids. And that is why there is some fascination when we grow up to it, right? Or if it's given to us when we are kids, it's given as fanaticism. So kids become very fanatic in terms of this is the only way. That is also not right. Introduction to all of this knowledge from young is important. because it's a way to train the mind. It's a way for them to look at their own minds, their own shortcomings of the minds, own I like this word, idiosyncrasies, like some silly things of the mind. I mean, your mind is silly, you will behave silly and you will see the world silly. So these parents go to the psychiatrist, Adi Shankara, and they show it to him and says, look at this boy, he is not able to, we don't know what's wrong, but it's worrying because we got a child like this, and how do you engage with this child? And but Adi Shankara, the Mahatma he was, when he sees the child, he sees something different in the child, right? He sees something unique. And that is where the conversation begins. And when he looks at the child, he knows that what is the question to ask. He asks him the question that, who are you? Where did you come from? Where are you going? And when I see you, I am feeling so joyful. I'm feeling so joyful when I see you. I don't know why. I'm feeling, because see, the same experience, if you remember, if you've read the biography of Jiddu Krishnamurti, you'll see there was, his father was working in Adayar Theosophical Society. He was the eighth child of his parents. And in Adayar Theosophical Society at that time, Dr. Annie Besant, and another person called Charles Leadbeater. There were two people who were searching for somebody who they can bring and train as a world teacher, because they had received some messages from spirits and their gurus who were disembodied, etc. So it is a occult institution, right? So they had received some directions that they should go and look out for a child of certain characteristics that they can bring and train him to become a world teacher. And then when they go, this Leadbeater is working there. The Jiddu's father is also working in the same place, and they're living there. Adayar pakatla thank you. They're staying there probably. And Adayar kitta there is a beach. So the man's children will go on to the beach and play, and Jiddu will also go. Jiddu and his younger brother. So they were very close, the immediate younger brother. So on one evening when Charles Leadbeater was strolling, he sees Jiddu Krishnamurti and he sees a very strange aura around the child. And this boy is about the same age, right? Well, 13 or whatever. And he sees an aura and he describes it as that I see this aura of no ego, egoless aura. And this he is experiencing with that child, and he then calls him over, and then they decide that this is the child we need to train, etc. And he becomes whatever, Jiddu Krishnamurti that we know. But if you have, what I'm trying to say is, if you have the right eyes to see, you will be able to understand some kids who are unique in that sense. So Adi Shankara is able to see this child and say, he's unique in some sense, right? It's not like, don't come and bother me. He even know that nothing can be done of him. It's not like that. He is able to realize that this child is something different. And then that is where the questions come. And when he asks the questions are more like he is prodding the child to respond with whatever the child thinks is appropriate. Okay, so even Bhagavan Adi Shankara doesn't know what the child is going to respond, but he's asking him questions that he thinks the child will be able to respond, because this is a very profound question. So if you look at this, he's saying, Kim namatem kuta kim namakte tvam kuta agatosi etan mayoktam vadacharvakatvam. In fact, he's asking questions which are pretty much, if you look at anybody, you would ask them. But he, being who he was, Adi Shankara, he was also, this is called as Prashna Diksha. Swami Nochu refers to this as Prashna Diksha. So which means there are different kinds of Diksha one gives. A guru gives Diksha in different ways. One is Chakshu Diksha. Ramana Maharshi is known to give Chakshu Diksha. Then there is Mantra Diksha. Then there is Kriya Diksha. Then there is Yoga Diksha or Asana Diksha. So there are different kinds of Dikshas that a guru gives. Which means through that Diksha, they will kindle that seeking, they'll kindle that within you. They'll kindle the desire to go deeper in your spiritual pursuit. They'll kindle that. Now here what Adi Shankara is doing, he is doing Prashna Diksha. I mean, by means of questioning, he is kindling that within him to respond. And then the child responds, and whatever it comes out as 13 verses. There's only one question that he is asking. If you look at the whole Hastamalakeeyam, there's one question he's asking, and then 13 verses are coming, flowing out of Hastamalaka. நான் இவ்வளவுதானேப்பா கேட்டேன் அப்படி. I just asked you, who are you, where are you coming from? அதுக்கு இவ்வளோவா? But that is the thing. 16 marks answer. But that is the thing. What has happened there is the child found comfort, solace, and security in that presence. See, a lot of times, even as a child, we don't open up and we don't share, we don't say things because of the fear of society, fear of our parents, fear of saying something wrong, fear that we will not be accepted. And this grows, this fear grows as you grow older. If you notice, as a child, whatever oral you were doing, you cannot do that when you're older. Right? Because when you're younger, much younger as a child, that fear is lesser. As you grow older, the fear is more. Oh, what will they think of me? What will they think of me? Oh, this is the image they carry of me. So should I be like this? Should I be like that? Should I give up? Right? Everybody sees me like this. So is it okay for me to wear shorts? So a lot of these things, we worry about the social construct and the our response, we are constrained in the way we express ourselves. And a boy like Hastamalaka has had such experiences in past lives, and now this life he's become very careful. He's become very careful, knowing that whatever he's experiencing, the innermost state, if he's going to tell anybody, somebody is going to call him mental. Right? Somebody is going to call him mental. See, we always want to be practical. We always want to be relevant to the society we are in. We're always wanting to be that. And it is appropriate because we are living in a society. So the best way is, see, Hastamalaka is also teaching, the best way is, if you think you are not able to be relevant to the society, be silent and sit down in one place. If you feel the society is not appropriately responding to your inner state, or you think you are not able to express, why mudindu? Don't keep going around and trying to change the world. See, by being like that, a Mahatma like Adi Shankara is drawn to his village. Why else do you think Adi Shankara would have gone to Sri Beli village? There must be some providence that is bringing Adi Shankara to this little boy who needs to be discovered. Like how Seshadri Swamigal discovered Ramana Maharshi. He was like a vagabond, sitting in Patalalingam, this place, that place, Chumma Udiyo Kand Edo Patande. But like Seshadri Swamigal discovered the boy and then recognized that he is not normal. Same with Madhurukavi Alvar. In the stories of Alvars, Madhurukavi Alvar discovered Nammalvar. Nammalvar was a 16-year-old little boy. He was sitting under a tree. And Madhurukavi Alvar came there and asked a few questions to him. And the way he responded, realized he's not a normal person. And then he told him, please take me as your guru, take me as your disciple. I want to be your disciple. So these, like Kanchi Periva also gets discovered. Yeah. So a lot of these people, they get discovered when, not when they go out on their own and try to dimdima. They are there. They are trying to be in their own mode of self-discovery. They are in their mode of self-introspection. They are in their mode of enjoying the Swatma Rama, the Swa Atma Rama state they're wanting to be inside. They're wanting to be in with themselves and not engaging with the world, knowing that the world may not understand. There'll be an appropriate time, an appropriate person who will come around and give that attention or will be able to listen to what I've got to say. But right now, everybody is out to just say, right? Everybody is wanting to use every opportunity and every channel possible to just say. The moment there is a thought, I want to speak it out. The moment I want to get a stage and I want to go and say what I think, what I feel. Without enough foundation, without enough sadhana, without enough tapas going into it. So all our business is to be that, be this, do that tapasya. Now when this little boy, see how difficult it is. Think about it. It is really very difficult to be that kind of a silent person when everything around you is happening and moving and all of that. Being so silent and not speaking because you're knowing inwardly that it is not going to reach the right ears. People are not going to get it. People will say, "Oh, what nonsense are you talking?" And people will always say this very comfortably. They'll say, if everybody thinks like you think, will the world run? That is not my problem. My father, when I was young, used to say this. If everybody becomes like Buddha, then what about everybody else? I said, not everybody will become a Buddha. Pa. So I don't have to worry about that. See, these are not real concerns. It's just fears. Question is, what if I become self-realized? Oh my God, will the world stop? So when we look at a boy of this age and you see this interaction, this exchange, we look at it to see that, and how do we relate it into today's world? And we say that it's possible. It doesn't matter. This was 800 years ago or 700 years ago. Sorry, 1200 years ago, 780 AD or something like that, right? It's about 1200 years ago. It doesn't matter. Even today, we will be able to find such kids and find such people around us. There are people like that. In fact, the people who we think are realized are, or the names that we know are far and few. There are so many who are and they don't come out at all. They continue to be in their small little way wherever they are. Maybe 3, 4 people around them, 10 people around them. That's all. And that's it. So this kind of an ability remains even today. But the important thing is, this is where it says, we say that the guru comes in seeking of the disciple. And this is always true. All you have to do is focus on blossoming yourself in whatever ways and whatever tools you have, whatever tools have been given to you with sincerity. Spend your time, energies with that. You'll see in some form, a guru will come and search. Right? And it'll recognize. So this exchange happens, and then after that, Adi Shankara realizes that he is no ordinary boy. He is able to see the truth like, if you hold a fruit in your hand, how clearly can you see the fruit? And he uses the example of Amalaka because Amalaka is it's considered to be one of the very sacred fruits. It's a complete fruit actually, Purna fruit, because what is called as the 6 tastes Arusuvai. This is one fruit that has all the 6 tastes. So that way it is a very special fruit. And the other interesting thing about this fruit is when it ripens, it doesn't fall off the tree. This I heard somewhere. It doesn't fall off this is one fruit that doesn't fall off the tree. It will continue to remain in the tree. So that way it's not wanting to get anywhere. That is the representation here. It's not wanting to become something or get anywhere. நான் இங்க இருக்கேன்னா இங்கே இருக்கேன். I'm happy where I am. So he's saying that Hastamalaka, the name was given to him because he was able to see the Amalaka, or like how we are able to see an Amalaka or a gooseberry, keeping your ullangai nellika polama. So when you keep the nellikai or the gooseberry in your palm, and when you're able to see it clearly, in that way he is able to perceive the truth with so much clarity. Right? And so Bhagavan Adi Shankara calls him Hastamalaka. And this work, in fact, later, why this work became popular is Adi Shankara himself has given commentary on this work. See, Adi Shankara himself has given commentary on this work of the boy he has taken him as his disciple. And in that work, in his commentary, Adi Shankara refers to Hastamalaka as Acharya. So his relationship, Bhagavan Adi Shankara's relationship with Hastamalaka is not necessarily a Guru Shishya relationship, because he didn't require a guru. In many ways, he required protection. Hastamalaka required right kind of protection, because people will misunderstand, people will not be able to deal with a person or a child like that. So he took him in. He told his parents, a very special child, is very advanced in his perception and the way he perceives. And yogis and munis do so much tapasya to get to this perception that he is carrying, this little boy. So he needs to be protected. He needs to be taken care of. So please give him to me. So they happily pass him on. And then he continues to be with Bhagavan Adi Shankara, and one of the disciples, he becomes one of the Sishya, Hastamalaka. And then there are questions around by Bhagavan Adi Shankara's disciples that how come this boy is like that? Then there is a little story, there is a little backstory, flashback or story, where there is a yogi who is sitting by the banks of a river in very deep contemplation. And at that time, a small lady, a young lady with a small child comes. And that small child is this boy, little boy. A very, very small infant. She comes and leaves the child by the bank, telling the yogi to please take care of this child. I'm going to take a dip into the river and come back. Or maybe collect water or something like that. And the yogi is in deep meditation. Maybe the mother did not recognize that or see him or whatever. She left the child in his care and then went. And when she was at the river, the small child crawled to the river and drowned. And this yogi was sitting in his meditation and he was in his dhyana. He didn't notice this. And then when the mother comes out, she realizes the child is drowned, and at the bank, the child is drowned and is there. And she carries the child and cries and weeps and wails at the feet of the yogi, saying that I left him in your guard and you've let me down. My child is dead now. And feeling compassion for the child, for the mother, the story is that the yogi drops the body and enters the body of the child. And that child is Hastamalaka. So in many ways, he is a very advanced yogi. He is somebody who's been doing tapasya and dhyanam and yoga and all of that. And hence this boy happens to be this. Now, the question could be that, but I am not like that. No yogi has entered into me. Why are you comparing me to Hastamalaka? Why are you telling me to listen to him? The recognition of the fact that each one can recognize this truth, the understanding that each one of us can recognize the truth. Hastamalaka is a symbol that helps us bring your attention back to that. Is a linga or a symbol that helps you bring your attention back to that truth which he is experiencing. And he is experiencing the truth and he is giving it in the most raw form to you. In the most, he is not sugarcoating it. He is not saying some Bhagavan will come, hand will come like that, grace will flow, and then you'll suddenly become this thing, that thing, nothing. In the most raw and the most pure form, he's giving this knowledge and saying that this is what I am experiencing, and this is what you also can experience. And if you can, and at the more deepest level, all of us can resonate with this. You will see this when you listen to some of these things, when you're talking about Nija Bodha Rupaha, Sanityo Balabdhi, when this Aham Atma Sanitya Upalabdhihi, it is always available to me. This is something when you keep listening to it, and then you will be like, ah, yeah, that's correct. That's right. That's right. It is just that it's not the dominant perception of ours. It is not a dominant perception. A dominant perception is I am this face, I am this hair, this body, this thing, that thing. This is the dominant perception. But his dominant perception is I am the Atma. And there are enough and more examples in our history to show that there have been many people like that. Right? So what does Hastamalakeeyam offer us? It offers us this truth in the more purest form, like an Elika, like an Amalaka, in the most purest form. You have not cooked it yet, you have not done anything. See, Amla, you can eat it as it is, and you'll get all the tastes. Astringent, up, little bit of karam, all of that taste will come. Pulip, sweetness. See, after you eat an Amlaka, you drink water, you'll feel sweet. All those tastes will come. So when you are able to perceive truth in that way, that it is there in everything, it is there everywhere. It is not some glorious thing. We all don't have to wait like Arjuna to look up to see that big Vishwarupa Darshanam and then only say that, okay, now I have got it. No. Those are all exaggerated expressions of an experience. But within us, in a very gentle way. Look at this little boy, very gentle. Even if nobody had come to discover him, he would have continued his life like that. We get to know stories of people who get discovered. What about those who don't get discovered this way? They continue to be like that, right? They don't come and say, yo, 20 years of my life, I have not done anything. I wasted my life. If you have the right understanding, if you are like, we spoke the other day, Jiddu Krishnamurti says, what is a rose? What is the purpose of a rose? It just is. As long as you know within you there is no conflict, absolutely fine. You don't have to do anything for the world. Chumma irundha porom. Half the time, the problem in the world is because we try to do something. And we end up doing the wrong things. Our intention is, I want to do something, but we end up doing the wrong things at the right places, maybe. Or we do the right things, but at the wrong places. Right? You can't stand there at Pahalgam when they're shooting and stand there and listen. Let me tell you about Atma, Tattva Bodha and Vedanta and all of that. We can't talk like that. This is what a lot of people do, right? We can't go and start preaching and talking as though because I have known, I have understood, I can't start preaching. And we do that at the wrong places to show that, this is Bhagavan, this is that, this, all of that. The philosophies that we try to narrate feels very superfluous because we have not established within ourselves. When you're established within yourselves, whatever comes out, whatever happens. It happens, it doesn't happen. We're okay. So this is what Hastamalaka represents. He's a linga, or he's a symbol of this state, and he is giving to us in a pure form. Right? So this is the introduction to the work, and we will just pause with understanding the first verse of the question itself, what Bhagavan Adi Shankara is asking. The question is, Kastvam Shishu Kasya Kutosi Ganta. Kastvam, Kahatvam. Who are you, O Shishu, O child? Kasya, where are you? Who do you belong to? Whose are you? Kaha Asya, Kasya. Kutosi Ganta. Where are you going? Enga porapa? Kim Namat, Kim Namate. What is your name? Tvam Kuta Agatosi. You are coming from where? Engend Vara. Engend Vara. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Etan Maya Uktam Vada Charbhakatvam Matpritaye Priti Vivardhanosi. I am feeling so joyful in your presence. Can you please tell me more about you? So he is creating a space of protection, security. And then this child, always notice whenever a child is in the most secured place, in the most where it doesn't feel judged, and not just a child, any one of us, when we don't feel judged, the child is able to express freely, or any human being is able to express freely. Right? You don't feel judged. That you have to create that environment. We create that environment. Like my daughter will say, Appa, whenever I speak some English, you will correct my grammar. I hope she's come over the point where she's taken
I
those.
tell my dad as well if I'm singing something.
Even
அப்பா
now.
எனக்கு தெரியும் இது தப்பு இருக்குன்ட்டு கொஞ்ச நேரம் சொல்லாம இருந்தேன்.
So requiring uh, requiring to be corrected is different from feeling judged. Right? So feeling judged, that is not a good place to be. And you will know when you're feeling judged, you will know your expression will come from a place of pressure, tension. The body language will become very discomforted. So he is creating that space for this little boy where he is able to express himself freely. Right? So this is the introduction. As we go through this, and the reason I said we will do it this way, like, be on video, etc., is try to create an environment such that we are able to sit and then pay a little attention and go beyond the words. I may speak some words, but the important thing is not the words that are spoken. The important thing is the idea. The idea is he will keep pointing us back to what we truly are. And he will start, Hastamalaka will start from negating everything. I'm not this, I am not this, I am not this. Neti, neti. That is the prakriya. That is a method, the Upanishadic method. Because it's very difficult to point a finger on saying what that is. And even if you point a finger, you can't, it's not something that being pointed at. Because who is pointing? The pointer is the pointed. The one who is pointing is the one that is being pointed at. So it's very difficult. The only way is for us to intuitively get this understanding. And for intuition to operate, we must be consolidated in some form. We can't be distracted. Right? And so through this work, we will try to get the glimpse of, I'm sure by the end of this work, the 5 sessions, we will definitely would have gotten some glimpse. And of course, you all have read many other books. You have heard many other acharyas and sannyas Swamiji speaking. So be with this and try to get a glimpse of what he is saying as the truth. Without, you can question, but don't reject. There's a big difference between questioning and rejecting. Rejecting means you're outright negating any possibility of something making sense at some point in time. You're rejecting it. Questioning is இது எனக்கு புரியலையே, எனக்கு வரலையே, I am not able to get it. That's fine. That's questioning. That is all right. Don't close the opportunities, because this is somebody's experience and not just one person's experience, mind you. Even today, by Hastamalakeeyam, so many people are able to talk about our acharyas and gurus and all of them. They look at this as a profound work, as an Upanishad itself. This is also known as an Upanishad. It's also called as Hastamalakeeyam. One of the Gitas is Hastamalakeeyam, because it is speaking about the universal truth. It's not speaking anything by any religion, any faith, nothing. It's speaking about the truth. So we will explore that, and we will see how we are able to, in the process, at least to get a glimpse or be in that and try to experience the perfume of what he's saying. See, இதெல்லாம் அவ்வளவுதான், right? Today I can transfer images, I can transfer videos, I can transfer all of that. Can I transfer perfume through the YouTube, through Zoom? Perfume has to be experienced, right? So this experiencing of perfume is what we're going to do. We are going to make ourselves available so that we are able to experience that, right? So with the first verse, we will pause. This is the Prashna Diksha that Adi Shankara has given him, which means is inducing the little boy to speak. Tomorrow we'll see. He will start responding. And that is where it will start becoming beautiful. And even Adi Shankara himself is quietly listening to the boy. Okay. Just one other thing, the same kind of response Adi Shankara gave to his guru when his guru asked. When Adi Shankara was a little boy of 8 years old, his guru, Govinda Bhagavat Pada, asked him this question, and then what he gave came out as Dasha Shloki. Shiva Kevaloham. He also does this Neti Neti, and he gives this response. And now he's fascinated by a little boy about the same age giving something similar to him. It's very beautiful. Imagine the experience is so beautiful. When you've told somebody 20 years ago, and today another child says the same things to you, it feels joyful, right? என்ன மாதிரியே யோசிக்கிறான் பாரு. So we will continue.
He would have been definitely impatient to grab this boy before he could finish all the verses, saying all the verses.
Correct. Absolutely. ॐ कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि, सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि, जगदम्बिकेति समर्पयामि, सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि. हरि ओम तत्सद्गुरुदेव. देवा.